Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, we're going to be checking out one of the most underrated champions, I think, in the game for Hydra, Boss. I really do. We are on ClaireLite's account for this showcase, so big shout out to her. Today we're talking about none other than Bambus Fourleaf. I mentioned this during my live stream for CVC last Tuesday, and ClaireLite reached out to me and said, "Hey Nub, I know you were talking about, maybe re-gearing Bambus and building up a team. I actually already have a really cool team with Bambus. If you want to showcase it, feel free." So huge shout out to Claire for letting me jump on and do this. But let's take a look at him. Okay, I think people maybe get a bit distracted by Bambus's passive, though it is decent. We'll come back to that in a second. We will come back to it. But look at Bambus here again, and I want you to channel your Aestra Dream Song game view now, right? Think about Aestra Dream Song. Excuse me. Think about how much better she has turned out to be than we thought she was before. With the increased attack, with the damage, all of that. And let's check out Bambus. So this is one thing. Bambus is bringing in increased attack for your team as well. He also brings increased accuracy and AoE decrease accuracy. Now, increased attack, this is a huge one, right? I think this has become much more meta even since Bambus first came out. Think about Lady Mikage. Think about Grand Oak Podrick, even to an extent. Think about, again, Aestra Dream Song. With the power scaling in the game and how it is going, where once before in the past, Hydra was much more about Royal Guard and Husk and Geomancer even, basically max HP damage. With the power scaling, we are pushing much more towards just standard damage dealers and wanting increased defense for defense-based damage like Harima, wanting increased attack for attack-based damage dealers. Like we're going to see Varl the Destroyer, another criminally underrated champion actually in this team. This is a good move. Again, decrease accuracy, super underrated as well. The increased accuracy, that's a bit difficult to build around, to be fair, but you can build around it. Now, this is on a 4-turn, so it's not full uptime, but wait, there is more. We come to his A2 Grove Tender, which is a shield. Nice shield for your team that also increases all ally buffs by 1 turn. Again, this is on a 4-turn cooldown, but still, buff extension. We know how insanely strong that is for Hydra now as well. He also will decrease enemy buffs by 1 turn, even if it's a weak hit. Increases the value of shields if he does decrease any. So again, pretty nice. Keeping your team alive with shield, that's really good. Upping your effective HP, making it so you can't be one-shot, that's great. But buff extension on an AoE attack, that's also decreasing enemy buffs, fantastic. And then his A1 is a single target attack, decreased speed. But if the target's under 2 or more debuffs, this is Hydra, super easy. This is a AoE decreased speed, right? AoE attack that has a 40, that goes to 65% chance of decreased speed AoE. Really solid. Like, think about Krisk. Krisk is void, so no weak hits. But Krisk is a 50-50. This is a 65-100? So wait, 65-35? I don't know. Wait, what's the... I actually don't know how you construct the ratio properly, so it makes sense. But yeah, you get the idea. It's just a really solid kit for Hydra, right? It's great buffs, great debuff for the enemy, buff extension and shield with AoE attack, AoE decreased speed. It's really good. And fantastic synergy with something like the Curse set. We also have got cooldown reduction here with Merciless, which is a great build and something that I think all of us want to be doing. So long as you can clear any Cursed city, keep a hold of your good Merciless pieces for support, right? Merciless is arguably a better support set than a damage set. I mean, it's a very good damage set, but seriously, this 4-piece is insane because you can construct it with accessory slots, which right now makes it incredibly powerful. And you can pair it with something like Curse Set or Reflex or Impulse, and it becomes really strong. It's a hell of a kit. Then we also have his passive, okay? So we can transfer debuffs placed on an ally to him while he is asleep. At the start of his turn, he wakes up and transfers debuffs from him to the enemy with the highest resistance. If he removes, basically if he wakes up at the start of his turn, it cannot be resisted. This is probably not a huge deal, but it's kind of nice. Like for Hydra, I think the nice thing is, right, let's say you get a bunch of poisons from the Head of Blight. you can throw them back to the enemy with the highest resistance. It's Suffering. And poisons actually do decent damage to Suffering, so it's kind of a nice perk. This is kind of a smaller thing, though. I'd say the most useful, consistent part of this in Hydra would be the heal reduction. Actually can be a pain in the butt, right? Heal reduction from Head of Decay can actually mess up some teams pretty hard. It can get you killed. Well, him, between providing a shield and between redirecting that heal reduction, can do a really good job of keeping you alive. So I think that's cool. He's got a good aura as well. And by the way, again, huge power thing in Hydra right now. Cruelty. Sadly, he's only 2-star here on this account. But this champion, he's firing off AoE attacks like crazy. He will work really, really well with Cruelty. He is a fantastic applicator of the Cruelty debuffs. How then has Claire built him up? Let's take a look. Merciless Cursed is pretty much best in slot, to be honest. Yeah, it's pretty much best in slot. It's super good. And scales, the Merciless in particular, scales, in fact, both of these work super well with ally attack or counter attack. I think we've got counter attack in this team. So Claire has built him with actually surprisingly very, very high defense and decent HP. His damage does scale on attack, and he does bring increased attack. Let me actually check. What are his multipliers? I don't even know. Yeah, I mean, again, putting my Aestrid hat on here, he's a 5.6 on his AoE, and then I think it's a 3.8. Like, that's not bad. When you consider Aestrid, these are very similar multipliers to Aestrid. What are his base stats? Okay, his attack's a decent chunk lower. It's pretty low, but I mean, he could potentially do pretty decent damage. He also has got crazy base speed, by the way. 110? Like, how are we sleeping on this champion? Come on. How are we sleeping on him? This is so strong. So yeah, he could be decent, you know, in some damage gear, maybe. But I think not essential. High enough speed, decent speed at 262. Don't really have any crit stats. He's got about 300 resistance, about 300 accuracy. Again, this is awesome. Let's see the Hydra battles. We do have the 20% ignore defense. We've got a bit of other stuff right there. But like, he would scale really well with, let's say, a Krila or a Lanicus that can ally attack and buff your crit rate. I think that's pretty good value for him, actually. And you do want, I think, good resistance, so he will resist everything with a decreased accuracy buff. And he doesn't need crazy high accuracy because he's buffing increased accuracy anyway. For the masteries, we are over in War Master. Again, he's pumping out AoEs, so that's really strong. Even without damage gear, it will add a lot of damage. We are extending his debuffs. We are extending his buffs. I honestly think maybe Sniper might be better with the decreased speed and the Cursed set. It makes it more consistent, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. Making his shield stronger, that's important for him. Burn meter on buffs and debuffs expiring is pretty good too. So yeah, that is Bambus. Let's jump in and let's do a little bit of a Hydra run right here. That's Doom Tower. that is not the Hydra. Here we go. There we go. So we're actually diving into brutal difficulty here, and this is the team. Really, really nice team. So what have we got going on? Let's actually go into the team setup so you can see the stats for these champions as well. Bambus in the lead with that aura, and he's priority 1 on his buff extension. I think it's going to be important to set up your priorities the way you want because of... yeah, because he's getting cooldown reduction from Merciless. Now, we do actually have Martyr. Martyr is going to be providing us with increased defense and counterattack. Now, he's extending both of those. That's a sick combo. And with decreased accuracy, like, quick look at the resistance. I mean, we've got decent resistance here. And, of course, we're getting bonus resist from Feral. That's a really sick combo. So, nobody is a Mischief tank. Just everyone is. Because of decreased accuracy, everyone's a Mischief tank. Fantastic. And now we can have counterattack on everybody. And counterattack with his A1, applying decreased speed, applying AoE War Master, applying AoE Hex. Great. Yeah, we've got Martyr in there. Those are her stats. Increased defense for Harima is obviously really important for this team as well. She brings decreased attack and provoke, which is the #1 priority. Harima is coming in. She has a provoke, of course, as well. And again, Harima is typically not built with super high accuracy. Increased accuracy lets you land that. She is fast. She is built to smack. And then Purgative Punishment is obviously scaling up her damage. She brings decreased attack as well on her A1. Varl, we've got a lot of decreased attack champs, actually. Decreased attack on his A2. And then his big hit is Calamity Torrent. Not the craziest stats in the world on Varl, but Varl's brilliant. He's bringing us the Weaken as well, which is clutch. That's 25% more damage. That's a lot of damage. Feral, super OP, obviously. He's bringing us increased resist and perfect fail. Like, we literally could probably build 0 resist stats on everybody, and between increase resist, decrease accuracy, you would probably resist everything anyway, just with Great Hall bonuses. Like, that's how strong it is. Perfect Veil too. So again, he's not got the perfect uptime, but with the buff extension from Bambus, this will become much more consistent. He brings us we block buffs and another decrease accuracy, in fact, and he brings us a backup decrease speed as well. And of course, it's passive, which can give you up to 20% more damage, which is super, super strong. And then we've got Lydia, who's doing decreased defense weaken. Ironically, we probably don't even need that, because we got Martyrs that does decreased defense decently well, and Varl does the weaken. So, but I don't know. I haven't run this team yet. Obviously, I've seen the screenshots and it's got very good potential. But man, you could maybe even min-max it a bit more. Let's take a quick look at the sets here. So let's see. Lydia is in just perception stuff. Varl is in 7-piece Merciless. So he's getting that cooldown reduction and lots of ignore defense, which is strong with his A3. We have Martyr. Let's get her. Martyr. She's coming in reflex, so cooldown reduction. Nice. Very nice. We had, who else is in there? I've already forgotten. Harima. Harima was in there, and Firal, I think, with the other ones. Harima is in lethal. And we had Firal. There we go. Firal in 8-piece protection. Like, you're losing out a lot of damage. Like, this team is going to do way more, because Firal is putting out 1, 2. I think, does he do a third buff? No, maybe that's it. But just 2 buffs. But like, that's 10% more damage right there with Firal. That's juicy when you get that 9-piece protection. And it's only the ring as well. The ring's not too bad. Like, you can give him a terrible ring. Like, this ring isn't even that good. You can give him a terrible protection ring. It's really getting the... this is actually pretty nice. Even though it's 5-star, it's got 8 base speed on it. Like, this is okay. It's triple flat attack. Who cares? It's accuracy with a bit of speed. Like, brilliant. That's the hardest piece to get. So hopefully Claire will get that soon. Let's jump in on auto. Actually, let me just double check something. Okay, we got some info from Claire in terms of how to run this team. So it's pretty simple. What we want to do is we want to leave it on auto, which is great. We can run it just on auto, but we want to pick the heads. And if we get reflect damage, yeah, we want to beware of reflect damage. We basically want to switch to manual because we got no reviver on this team. We got a lot of damage. If reflect damage goes up, we want to use Bambus to reduce its duration. Bambus MVP, amazing. And we want to just wait until it's gone, otherwise we'll die. Probably a good idea. We ran into that problem big time in a showcase the other day. Let's put it on double time speed and let's go. So we're going to buff up. Debuff. Fantastic. Buffs for days. Wait, how do you do green text? What? I haven't never seen that before. Okay, so bam, we're getting in some counterattacks. Cool stuff. There's the block buffs is up now as well. And yeah, obviously Firal, a bit of a downside with Firal. He himself doesn't get Veil, so he can be feared. But hey, there we go. We got the buff extension from Bambus. Bambus counterattack. Sadly, he is weak affinity to 2 of these heads right here, but he's already got decreased speed on 1. If you... Actually, you know what? This is a really nice thing as well. Firal is going to be pretty consistent at providing decreased speed for even the wrong affinity heads. Like right here, actually Bambus has decreased speed on nearly everybody, but Firal will also back it up with the counterattack reasonably successfully. Now, he will have True Fear messing him up. But again, like I said, he should be... Yep, there it is. There's the decreased speed. That's pretty nice. Again, a little bit of overlapping roles, redundancy to an extent, but pretty effective. Again, there we have that A1 from Bambus. Pretty cool. Like I said, I don't expect his passive to be honestly particularly useful here because we're going to have increase resist, decrease accuracy out. It's not a huge deal, but I mean, you can see that there is no, I haven't even been watching exactly, but there is no mischief tank, right? There's no one with more buffs than everybody else. It's just the power of increase resist, decrease accuracy, which is very strong. It's very strong. Here we go. We're buffing up. Fantastic. Purgative Punishment. Sadly, a few weak hits right there. That is life. There we go. I mean, he's not doing a ton of damage per hit, but it's the consistency, isn't it? That's what's nice. That's a chunky hit. Harima is just beautiful to watch and all this sort of content. Again, look, there we go. Head of Mischief attacks us. Who even cares, right? I will say one thing where it could be a slight problem in this rotation is that Mischief being Force Affinity. If you are relying on that decreased accuracy, Bambus might weak. Actually, no, he doesn't weak hit. I take it back. Bambus doesn't weak. His decreased accuracy move is just a placement move. It is not an attack, so he cannot weak hit. Well, I take it all back. Bambus truly has 0 flaws. Confirmed. Confirmed. So here we go. Let's see how this rocks. I mean, this team is looking pretty cool. What we'll do, again, we'll let this run out, probably just on auto. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't expect us to get the best run, but I've got a screenshot for like the typical potential for this team when you do manual it a bit. I will be on like when it's not my team, I could be a little bit cheeky sometimes, and you get this, you don't watch the full run, you're leaving it on auto, you're not paying attention, and the reflect damage goes through, and you go, whoops. When it's not your own team, it's harder to pay attention. 700k from Varl there. Varl has potential for sure to do. I think a lot of damage, honestly. Like, because he's, again, like Harima, his stats are scaling up. They are scaling up, so he can hit really hard. He's not in the craziest damage gear, though, at the moment. And of course, bearing in mind when you're watching this as well, guys, the biggest difference to this is obviously the speed from area bonuses for Hydra is big, but like that 20% ignore defense is absolutely insane. Like, it makes such a huge difference. And also when you're looking at other world record teams, one thing I want to switch here. What happens with the True Fear when he takes a turn? I don't even remember. Like, when he wakes up from his turn, I presume he's still feared, right? Sadly, everyone is feared here, which is a slight bummer. Okay, reflect damage not up. That's good. Makes it easier. Does he try to throw? No, so he did miss his turn. That's fine. Yeah, slight bummer, but say la vie. Decrease accuracy out, but they may cleanse it off. Let's see if we get back to a provoke on somebody. Everybody resist the provoke. That's pretty sick. We've got some annoying buffs up here, but we can potentially, again, strip those off with him. I think he should have it due. Not sure if we're going to get a provoke, which is annoying. Let's see. Harima might have it. Haven't been paying attention. Decrease speed will help somewhat. Harima does not have the provoke, and that's annoying. He gets the cleanse right as he's about to go. So at this point, maybe we want to be a little careful. Let's see what happens. The counterattack's pretty cool. And you definitely do want that. I think you almost definitely do want decrease accuracy if you're running a counterattack team. It makes it so much easier. I mean, even someone budget, like a Geomancer, has decreased accuracy A1. And it's kind of easy to get a good cruelty blessing on Geomancer as an epic. So that's one that's got good, excuse me, I've got hiccups, good potential. Yeah, the Fear Head, definitely a bit of an annoyance with this team. There's no question about that. This head's about to pop off. So right here, this is scary. Thought he might die. It's getting close. So like right here, right now, on auto, Harima would fire off her A2 and kill herself, which we obviously would rather not do. So let's hit this head instead with an A1. There we go. Scary stuff. Again, Varl could potentially kill himself. Let's not kill himself. It's actually his A1 heals him, which is nice. Bambus has the heal reduction. That's fine. Boost up. You can try. Missed it. That's a bit of a bummer, but there's nothing we can really do. Let's try land that. Okay. At this point, do we take the risk here and do we try to strip off these things? Or do we buff up and try to put decrease accuracy? I think we'll try buff up. And we'll try get around to it next turn. Again, we want to make sure reflect damage is up. We have to manual. Here we go. Be careful. Be careful. He's been eaten. That's a little annoying. Martyr probably gets away with this. Yeah, Martyr's fine. So we didn't actually need to provoke. Didn't need it. Let's just... Might as well do... She's feared anyway. It doesn't really matter. Definitely want to buff up so that we now have Veil. Oh, Bambus is dead. No, that was tricky. We should have put on the shield. Should have put on the shield, guys. Let's run it again through one more time. Yeah, like if I was to change anything with this team, you could potentially switch out the Lydia for something else. Like I said, you don't need the Weaken. We do need the increased speed. That's a bit of a problem. Like, you can maybe even get in like a Razzlevarg or something. It's a bit risky, obviously. You can maybe do it. Let's run it through one more time. You know what? I'm just gonna let this run. We'll just let this run. I'll just keep track of it. You guys see roughly how the team works, and you know the weakness is that reflect damage. I should have gone for the A2. We are definitely a little bit inconsistent as well with the veils. Like that's just a little bit of a problem with the Fearhead. Say welcome to Hydra. Dealing with Head of Torment is hard to do it fully consistently. Sad but true. Yeah, let's let this one run out. And I mean, you could always do a reflex set on this guy as well. That maybe Feral reflex set is the way to go. Actually, maybe it is the way to go instead of protection, which I think most people run on him. That's a thought. Anyway, I'll let this go. I'll try pay attention. We'll see how best I can do, and then I'll show you the best typical sort of performance that Claire's getting out of it. So be right back. All right, guys. Well, here we are deeper into the run. We are over 200 boss turns in, and we have 400 million damage on the board. Having done this now for a bit, I've actually worked out a lot more about this team. So yeah, we can actually break it down for you. So number one, something I realized is that Varl is actually the odd one out here, right? So Varl brings decrease attack and weaken AoE, but we have weaken AoE from Lydia. She's really good at it. We have decrease attack AoE from both Martyr and Harima. So I actually think that Varl is the odd one out. If I was to replace anyone in the team, I'd probably get rid of Varl. He's basically just doing damage, and that's great. And we'll find out how much damage he does after the run, but that's sort of all that he's doing. Another thing I would definitely do, as you can see, our uptime, or maybe you can't see it exactly, but what I have found from the run is that our uptime from Feral isn't great, right? Block buffs, not 100%, and the Perfect Veil, not 100% either. So that is actually something, like this is quite awkward here. This could be kind of bad. That is something I would probably change. Definitely, he's right now is in 8 piece of protection. I really don't think that has any value compared to putting him into. That's actually target this head here. So here we're gonna have to be careful because he's gonna get reflect damage almost definitely. I definitely put him into reflex, maybe even reflex merciless, just to get better uptime on his moves. So that's a bit of a weakness. So a couple of things. One issue as well is that Martyr, as our provoker, she's weak affinity to to this head, so she actually misses the provokes a decent amount. Now Harima obviously isn't weak affinity; she's great, but without any, there's no turn meter boost on this team. So I actually found that there are times where we actually do get cleanses and stuff going through, which is obviously awkward. Speaking of, I mean, actually manual. Well, I don't know. Let's just leave it full auto here for this bit. Actually, who cares, right? There we go. But I mean, this this looks pretty bad. I think this might be the end. Unfortunately, that's some bad luck overlapping. In fact, we need to be careful here, otherwise people might die to this. I think I think the poison cloud will be gone. We're in a lot of trouble. But to put it in context, we did 400 million. Actually save the provoke for one turn. Do we go for the decreased defense? You know, I'm actually doing it. I think just to try break this person free, it's worth it. What do we even block buffs here? Does it even matter? Just A1 with her. Oh, she got it anyway. Cool. We get the perfect veil up. That will hopefully help somewhat. But yeah, I mean, if you multiply our score by 50%, you can see we could absolutely have the potential to get 600 million with this team, which in fact is exactly the record that that Claire actually had with this team. Let's just see if we can break this person free. It was probably worth the risk there. You know, she's gonna A2 next time anyway. This move does more damage. Let's just go for it. I think we could do it. Let's see. It's gonna be close, but it's doable. Yeah, I think we do break him free. But Varl. Oh no, Varl just died. Okay, well, listen. That's a good point to end our run. So we would have gone further. But, you know, we got 400 million. And here we can see the damage breakdown. Harima is really doing most of it. This is where I think Varl could definitely be replaced. Like, one... I mean, Shamail, you've got a bit of counter synergy with Feral, but I mean, in theory, you could put in Shamail. You could, in theory, put in any sort of damage. I think the idea here is that as an attack-based damage dealer, he's taking advantage of increased attack. Like, without... That's one thing with this team, right? Varl is very replaceable, but he is the only one benefiting, really, from increased attack from Bambus. So that's something. That's something. But you could put in somebody else, like, I don't know, maybe just a Turvold or something would do more damage. I don't know. Anyway, some ideas there, but Bambus, he has 88 million damage, which is pretty cool. One thing is we got no healing. So a couple of things. We've no Reviver on the team. We've got no healing either, which makes it a bit awkward for sure. Varl healing with his A1, and no one else is healing. Yeah, Bambus, he's done really good damage. Some of that is direct, and then a big chunk as well is from the Hex, and the Hex is really particularly benefiting from Harima. But yeah. Like I said, Varl's sort of the odd one in. And I will say, in terms of this team, I think there's a nice synergy between Martyr and Bambus, actually, right? The counterattack from Martyr is really nice for Bambus. His A1 is fantastic, so that's really good, and that synergizes really well with the Cursed set. It's not essential, but it's a nice synergy. Obviously, we're not really, I think, taking big advantage of the increased attack from Bambus, though. But yeah, Bambus did really solid. He was great in this team. For improving this team, I think an affinity where Martyr won't weak hit on her provokes would be nice. And I would definitely be looking into switching Feral into, probably put Lydia into Cruelty as well. And I'd probably be putting, because we don't have enough Cruelty on this team. And I would be putting Feral into, I think that Reflex, that would make a big difference. But there you go. One sec. Yeah, so here it is. This is actually, again, it took an hour and a half. I think this team got almost to the turn limit or whatever, but you know this got the 600 million damage on Brutal. And again, you can see a similar thing. So Varl slightly further ahead of Bambus. Varl actually did pretty better in this run in terms of damage, but Harima absolutely slaying. Yeah, kind of as you expect. But yeah, there you go. I liked Bambus in the run. I did. I do think that he would also work really well with, like I said, something like Alanicus would be pretty good. Where you're getting an ally attack, you're getting buff extension. I think he'd work quite well with another buff extender to really make, you know, to basically make the buffs more consistent would be pretty good. And I think he combos very well with ally attack champions as well. That's definitely something. I mean, like he honestly goes pretty well with the Podrick, right? He goes pretty well with Podrick. He's giving you shields. He's extending Podrick's buffs. Podrick has the ally attack for this. Podrick is healing and he's shielding. It's a really nice little combo. So yeah, I think there's tons of potential with Bambus. I think he's actually super underrated. Yeah, I think that this is probably the ideal build, honestly, as well. Curse plus Merciless. Like, this is a super good Bambus build. I'd highly recommend something like this, again, with Hydra battles, a bonus. Something like this is absolutely fantastic. It's great. But, yeah, there you go. Look, I think that's a cool showcase from this team. Yeah, I think a lot of people, tell me if I'm wrong. I think most of you probably have Bambus sitting in your vault. And like here he's coming in, yes, with a couple of really top tier Hydra champs in terms of like Harima and Feral, but I mean, everyone's got a Lydia and a Varl. You know, if you're late game, the Martyr is a bit more niche for sure, but there you go. Bambus coming in and doing a fantastic job. And yeah, I think he's super underrated. I genuinely do. So there you go. Bambus Fourleaf. One of the most underrated champs. Who's a little bit sad that Varl, who's another underrated champ, doesn't fit incredibly well into the team. But hey, there you go. That's life, eh? Thank you again to ClaireLite for letting me jump on to showcase this. And I'll see you all next time. Oh, I should also mention, I didn't mention this, sorry. That the team actually, this is really worth noting. Like I said, I would be changing this team a bit. Like, it did struggle multiple times because of the block buffs and the fear. So, in particular, I think one of the weaknesses, again, I didn't make this clear enough. Feral, because he is not super consistent, I think, without the reflex, at keeping up the perfect veil, it's really easy for Lydia, in particular, to get feared. and then she can miss increased speed, and that loses a lot of control for the team, right? If she misses that increased speed because the perfect fail is not perfect, your run really starts to go down a bit. And then if you miss a provoke because of Martyr weak hitting, it got a bit awkward there. So that's definitely a problem with this team. Like, we had a few runs where we just wiped out early, mostly to reflect damage. And then a couple of times where, like, just really annoying stuff like the cleanses were going through, and it was a real pain. So I'd say as a whole package, this team definitely, it has potential to go really high, but you need kind of good luck. For me, I don't love it. Actually, the team, I am I'm lazy. I want my team basically to work the first time I use it, basically every single time. I want my team to be extremely consistent for Hydra, so it just works. I don't think this team is super consistent, at least with this exact setup, and that it just works. Like I said, I think you get the reflex onto to Feral, and that helps a ton. I think that really helps a ton. I think it does become a lot more consistent then. And yeah, so there you go. Just some food for thought there, guys. But like, don't put this exact team in with his exact bills and be like, it's gonna get 400 to 6. Again, you can see we wiped at 400 mil, right? I think it's gonna get that super high score every time. Not necessarily. One easy switch that you could make, by the way, you could do a reflex set Rector Drath, and you could do Sun Wukong. And yeah, you're not going to have as much damage from a Sun Wukong as a Varl would do, but you get the block buffs. You get a bit of resistance boost from Rector Drath. You get the perfect fail. You're obviously not going to do as much damage. You're losing the Feral 20% as well. You're losing some of those stats, but you would have a revive. You'd have a more consistent type of team right there. So that's something that could be worth considering. Obviously lower ceiling, you're not going to get the high score. You're not hitting 600 million with that variant of the team. It's not as much damage, no way. But, it's not going to wipe out early half as much. So there you go. Budget, food for thought. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.